Well, hello, Daddy. How are you? My name is Ryan McCartan, one half of the Sam and Ryan cinematic universe. Sam is not available, so I have the kids this week. How the heck are you? I have a very special episode of Just Me on the YouTube channel this week. I am an actor and singer. I've been on Broadway. I've been on the Disney Channel. I have led in movies and television shows. I'm represented by one of the biggest agencies in the world. I know that to an outside perspective, maybe I'm just the Walmart Jeremy Jordan, but I do have over 23 years of industry experience in the entertainment industry, both in minor markets like Chicago and Minneapolis, as well as major markets like Hollywood and New York. And while this is my favorite job I've ever had, it's also my least favorite industry I've ever been a part of. And I know there are a lot of people who watch us and subsequently keep track of me who are curious about what it's actually like to have a career in entertainment. Maybe you're morbidly curious. Maybe you want to get into the entertainment industry yourself. Regardless, I have a lot of experience, a lot of stories to tell, and what's most important to me is that people know the truth. I remember being in high school, thinking about maybe wanting to do this with my life, and having guest lecturers come and talk during after-school programs, and no offense to them, but feeding us a lot of about how, like, if you just follow your dreams, anything's possible, and like, this is the best job in the world, and we're all so lucky to do it. And listen, I've had a really good go at it. I've been extraordinarily lucky, and I don't have any intention to quit anytime soon. This is my job, but it is a job. There's a reason that it's called show business, and the business side of it is wicked sometimes. I remember being a kid and listening to these guest speakers talk and being like, I know that you're lying to me. I have been acting professionally since I was 7 years old, and it's so easy to think that show business is this giant green head in the sky, but when you look behind the curtain and see the annoying little man pulling all the levers, suddenly you find yourself with more questions than you have answers. I went on Instagram and I asked you if you had any questions. Deep, dark, dirty questions about show business. Honestly, you gave me enough thought-provoking material for me to probably do 3 of these videos. But I'm going to dive into some of these questions that you guys asked me. This is the truth about the entertainment industry, Q&A style. My first question comes from B. Dixie Tucker. How much time do you have for your personal life when you are on a Broadway show? For me personally, if I'm doing a Broadway show, 8 shows a week, I'm not doing anything. I sort of live life like a nun because I have to protect my body, I have to protect my voice. If I'm going out late at night, if I'm out on these COVID streets, if I'm f***ing around with Falula and Falolo from whatever the hell in the bars of the Broadway strip after my show, I'm out until 1 in the morning, I'm not getting enough sleep, it's gonna affect me. Doing 8 shows a week of the highest caliber theater, singing, moving your body, it takes an incredible toll on you. Is it rewarding? A lot of the times it is. Is the pay really good? Absolutely. But is it really, really hard? Yeah. And I definitely, when I'm on a Broadway show, I sacrifice my social life. I do not feel like I have a very big work-life balance. I feel like I sleep, I eat, and I go to the theater. Those 5-show weekends are tough. You work nights and weekends. The time that most of the world is relaxing, you are performing. You work holidays. We have shows on Christmas. We have shows on Easter. We have shows on the 4th of July. We have shows on New Year's Eve. We work while everyone else celebrates, and we sleep while everyone else works. That's kind of the life of a theater rat. I love it for the reasons I love it, but it is really hard. I do try to see friends from time to time, of course, because I have to have some semblance of a personal life, but it's usually on my terms, it's usually on my time, and it's usually going to be somewhere quiet so that I don't blow my voice out. Rianne Danny asks, how the f*** you guys don't fall in love with each other? I mean, we do. Going all the way back from when I was a teenager doing professional theater, all the way through my life as a professional adult, I've dated 6 of my co-stars, and I've hooked up with a good deal more. And I'm sure you could name 30 couples in a minute that you remember reading about. They met on a set, they fell in love, they dated for a while, maybe they get married, maybe they break up, whatever. It happens all the time. I mean, the crazy thing about acting is that the body doesn't know the physiological difference between fiction and nonfiction. And so if you're going through the motions emotions of falling in love with each other on stage or on set, if you don't have very strict boundaries in place, it is really easy for those lines to get blurred. I think a lot of the times when you're doing a show, you're doing a Broadway show, you're doing a television show, you're doing a movie, you're kind of sequestered. You only see the people in your cast. If you're shooting a show where you don't live, you're shooting in Atlanta or Vancouver, but you live in Hollywood, you and the cast travel and you live there, you're in a bubble, you only see each other. And so you don't necessarily fall in love with each other because you actually have anything in common. You fall in love with each other because your characters are in love, and it's convenient because they're right in front of you. But that's why the love happens fast, burns brightly, and fizzles out quickly. And for the most part, on-set romances are not a good idea, even though they happen all the time. Katie Jane asked, have you watched your co-stars use their fame to pick up dates? I've been out with people and literally watched them leave the bar and go home with someone because they got recognized as so-and-so from such and such. So yes, I have watched my co-star use their fame to pick up dates. I've watched people talk themselves out of tickets. I've watched people cut lines. I've watched people get discounts or things for free. It's crazy. We're all the same amount of human, and if you've waited in line longer than me, you should take precedent. I shouldn't take precedent just because you saw me on the magical box in your living room. I think it's weird. I think it's uncomfortable. And full disclosure, I've also taken advantage of it. Tattooed Rory asks, is there a lot of sex between people behind the scenes? Yeah. The entertainment industry is full of people who are beautiful and often in very good shape, who love attention and tend to over-romanticize their circumstances when they're working on a project. So yeah, I literally can't think of a single project I've ever worked on, even as a kid, where there wasn't some sort of sex scandal happening within the cast. And sometimes I've been the subject of those sex scandals, but we're not going to talk about that. Lavanna asks, most heinous/dangerous ways producers have tried to cut costs. Girl, I'm going to answer your question and just know this isn't even an exhaustive list. First of all, I'm going to call them out on every chance I have to do this, and I literally loved my time at Wicked. I would do Wicked again in a heartbeat, but I still just think that this is ridiculous. The Wicked stage is raked, which means it's on a diagonal. This is technology that was used in ancient Greece so that the flat audience could see action happening on stage. Now, the audience is raked, so the stage does not need to be raked. It's completely pointless. Actors Equity, the union that represents actors, actually has stipulations about how much a stage can be raked because raked stages are super, super bad for you. And the Wicked stage somehow got grandfathered into a raked stage that isn't even allowed by the union standards, and they won't change it. Wicked, I would love you. I would work for you literally any time. Making my Broadway debut in Wicked is one of the best things that ever happened to me, and playing Fiyero is some of the most fun I've ever had. But you gotta flatten that stage. It makes no sense. And I can't imagine that you're saving money by not flattening the stage when you are paying for all of our medical bills. My back and ankle got all screwed up when I was doing that show. Everybody gets injured on Wicked because of that raked stage. It should not be that way. When Broadway got shut down during the pandemic, no one was in the theater. That would have been a perfect time to renovate the theater and flatten the stage. Did they? No, because it costs too much money. Wicked has grossed over $1 billion. They have the money. Why don't they flatten the stage? Girl, I tell you this because I love you, not because I hate you. I love you so much, Wicked. I just want you to, stop hurting my friends. And me, too. My ankle still clicks every time it rains. In other productions, producers have refused to do my laundry. They have forgotten to pay me. I did a show one time where the producers, instead of paying for publicity and advertising, ran an in-cast contest where they would pay a cast member $1,000 cash bonus if they could prove that they sold more tickets to their friends than anyone else in the cast, essentially pitting us against each other because we were making absolutely nothing in the show to sell tickets for them because they didn't want to pay for publicity and advertising. I've worked on shows where they didn't want to spend the money to pay for an intimacy coordinator, so there was no one supervising any of the simulated sex. I've worked on shows where they tried to cut costs by not having a fight captain, so there was no one to oversee the simulated violence. I've worked on shows with stunts and no stunt coordinator. Spoiler alert, I got injured. Producers cut costs all the time. It is almost always to the detriment of the actors, and the reality is the show must go go on. We all want a job, so we tend to just deal with it anyway. Audrey asks, how prevalent is nepotism / who you know? Most of success is about luck and who you know. And I generated just a very small list of nepotism in the industry. Jaden and Willow Smith, Kendall and Kylie Jenner, Violet and Casey Affleck, Ben Platt, Gwyneth Paltrow, Angelina Jolie, Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift, Wolfgang Mozart, Zoe Kravitz, Rashida Jones, Lily Collins, Nicole Richie, Lily Rose Depp, Daisy Ridley, Ansel Elgort. The list goes on and on and on. Sofia Coppola, Ronan Farrow, even people that I didn't put on this list, they're just swimming to the front of my head. This industry is almost completely about who you know. The reason that I also say luck is because sometimes you get lucky enough to meet someone who is powerful enough to change your life. And talent is important because if your talent can impress someone who can change your life, then suddenly, as a consequence of your talent, you know someone, and that someone that you know can put you in the right place at the right time. But at the end of the day, it's who you know. And if your competition has a famous dad, a rich mom, a connected uncle, a best friend who's a producer, yes, absolutely, they're going to edge you out. That's how it works. It isn't fair. It isn't nice. My parents are retired now, but my father was an educator. My mom worked in retail. I do not have a single entertainer in my family. The people I know are the people that I've auditioned for a million times, worked for, who liked me and were willing to bring me back, and random people who took a shot on me because I got lucky. My responsibility as someone who isn't a Nepo baby or someone who doesn't come from money is to try really hard to claw my way into the good graces of someone powerful enough to get me an opportunity. And I have to do that in spite of the fact that a lot of my competition has an uncle whose best friend is a powerful agent or a mom with $1 million to spare. And that's just the way that it works. Robbie asks, has something like your mental health ever seriously affected a production you were a part of? Yeah. I have had to back out of 3 productions because of mental or physical health. Sometimes those health issues had to do with the show. The show caused those health issues, and sometimes they didn't. At the end of the day, you have to make a decision between your money and your life. If I'm faced with that decision, I choose my life 10 times out of 10, and I have to keep the faith that if I'm going to back out of an opportunity because I can't do it at that time, that another opportunity is going to come. Opportunities never stop. There are always more opportunities. Whether or not you can seize those opportunities, that's where the luck comes in. But I'm very fortunate to have been in this business for 23 years and to know that having a short-term mindset and thinking in terms of I have to do this show, I have to finish this contract, I have to keep going, is going to have very serious long-term effects on your life. And having a long-term mindset and knowing that if I make sacrifices in the short term to get myself to a place where I can do what I need to do down the line, that's going to set me up for future success that will be far more gainful than sticking it out now because I think that I have to. And to end it on a fun note, Katie asks, do you guys hook up in dressing rooms? And I literally did the math. And I have hooked up with someone in 62% of my dressing rooms. Yes, that includes Broadway. Yes, that includes Disney Channel. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you're responsive to this type of content. I know that we have a lot of people who watch us who are very curious about the entertainment industry. And I pride myself in being a straight shooter. I think it's really, really cool that authenticity becomes more prevalent and more appreciated by members of my generation and people younger. This is the truth from an industry professional who's been doing this for 23 years. Of course, this is only my point of view, which is not a holistic take on the entire industry, but I do hope that the proverbial peek behind the curtain was something that you found interesting and entertaining. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. Goodbye, Daddy.